Welcome to the session on educational psychology, Module 2, Session 12. A quick recap. In the previous session, we discussed about applied behavior analysis in education, that is, increasing desirable behaviors. In this session, we will understand applied behavior analysis in decreasing undesirable behaviors. Decreasing undesirable behaviors. Applied behavioral analysts Paul Alberto and Anne Troutman recommend using these steps in this order. Use differential reinforcement. Differential reinforcement is a strategy used in applied behavior analysis to address challenging or undesirable behavior, usually in children. While there are a number of techniques used in differential reinforcement, the goal is the same: to encourage appropriate behavior by giving or withholding reinforcement. The theory behind differential reinforcement is that people tend to repeat behaviors that are reinforced or rewarded and are less likely to continue behaviors that aren't reinforced. Differential reinforcement consists of two components: reinforcing the appropriate behavior and withholding reinforcement of the inappropriate behavior. Appropriate behavior in differential reinforcement may be recognized as not being inappropriately, choosing a positive response over a negative one. The second strategy is terminating reinforcement, that is extinction. Extinction is formally defined as the omission of previously delivered unconditioned stimuli or reinforces. But it can also describe the absence of contingency between response and reinforcer. Essentially, this means that learned behaviors will gradually disappear if they are not reinforced. This can be understood with an example. If a mother's child exhibits bad behavior, such as throwing a tantrum because he does not want to go to school, and she provides him with toys and sweets in an effort to pacify him or her, she is reinforcing poor behavior. The child has learned that misbehaving will lead to rewards and thus will continue to do so in order to get what he or she wants. Now, if the mother decides to stop reinforcing it by refusing to give out any rewards, her child will eventually stop acting up because he or she will no longer associate it with a positive outcome. This is extinction, and it relates heavily to operant conditioning because extinction works to make specific behaviors disappear. This is where it does have similarities with the general definition of the word extinction. The third step is remove desirable stimuli, which can also be called as negative punishment. We can understand this using an example. When a child misbehaves, a parent takes away a favorite toy. In this case, a stimulus, the toy, is removed in order to decrease the behavior. The fourth step is presenting aversive stimuli, which is positive punishment. Example, scolding a student to get the student to stop texting in class. In this case, a stimulus, the reprimand, is added in order to decrease the behavior which is negative, that is texting in the class. Some commonly used strategies to decrease undesirable behaviors are timeout and response cost. Timeout is the most widely used strategy for removing desirable stimuli, and this technique punishes negative behaviors by removing an unruly student from the rest of the class. If the other children were rewarding the negative behavior by giving the student attention or even by smiling and joining in, this removal subtracts that peer reward while also adding the isolation as a punishment. For example, Susan is teasing Molly. The teacher might make Susan sit in a chair in the corner of the room behind the other students. This way, the other students can see Susan and thus Susan is ignored. Susan can still see the rest of the class. However, and thus she can both see any fun she is missing by being in the corner, and she can learn any material the teacher is covering during that time. Response cost is taking a positive reinforces away from an individual. Response cost is the term used for removing reinforcement for an undesirable or disruptive behavior. It is form of negative punishment. By removing something, you decrease the likelihood that the target behavior will appear again. It is often used with a token economy and is best used when a student understands the implications. Summarizing the session, by understanding all the steps, we can come to the conclusion that the teacher's first option should be differential reinforcement. Punishment should be used only as a last resort and always in conjunction with providing the child information about appropriate behavior. Otherwise, the child will not be able to relate the positive behavior with the negative consequences. Here are some references to explore the concepts further. Thank you.